So, welcome everybody to yet another live interview. And I apologize to everybody. I still haven't checked, but I think this is number 99. And then next week we do number 100. I'm very blessed. I got Gavin on today. Gavin is the co-author. I'm going to show the book right away of this book. And for you guys that have been with me for a long time, that guy right here, Andy Cope, has been on the show. And thanks to him, now this guy right here, sitting right on the other end, and we're gonna have tons of fun for sure. Let's dive in with a question. I'm hoping this question fits you, because one of the things that I saw is you are an international keynote speaker, which I assume if it says international, you do some traveling, which means it takes time away from your kids. And exactly right, yeah. So this is a great question for you, because you probably deal with this as well. The other day, somebody tagged me into a video that a guy shared, and he was really emotional because he had to travel, right? He has a daughter, and I think that he was saying 8 years old, and he had to spend time away from her, of course, while traveling. And he got feelings of guilt, and he had a very hard time with dealing with this. So I want to share with you, man, how is that for you, having to travel and not being able to be there with your kids? And how do you deal with that? How do you make sure that there's no feelings of guilt, right? And that your kids feel good about it as well, or whatever emotions you want to give with it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, first things first, thank you very much for having me on. I'm absolutely delighted to be a part of this. I'm a big fan. So, it's an interesting question, because I have also struggled with this in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I have definitely, I'm definitely somebody who experiences feelings of guilt. I think it's gotten a little bit easier. I think when my business was first starting and I was having to go on the road to begin with, that's when it was at its most difficult. My kids are, so my son is 11 and my daughter is 7. And my son was an interesting age when I started to go away a lot more. He was about 3 or 4, and my daughter, of course, was well, in the early days she wasn't even born, but he kind of grew up with that. But I think one night away is quite nice. 2 nights is okay. 3 nights it begins to hurt. And I actually genuinely find myself feeling quite sad. 4, 5, and 6 nights, I really struggle with, Klaas. I really do. I find it very, very difficult. So I make sure that when I am with the kids, we're just having as much fun as we possibly can. If I've got days in the office, I make sure I'm home nice and early. If I can get the kids from school, I'll turn up and pick them up. If I can have a morning where I drop them off at school, I do that. I missed my son's first day at school. And that's not cool. It's not cool, but it was one of those moments, and I've missed many sports days. But it's about making sure that you do create that quality time when they get just you to themselves. But I do struggle with it. I find myself in hotels and Airbnbs in different towns, cities, and countries, and I sit there feeling sorry for myself. So fortunately, there's things such as Skype and FaceTime, and you can still see your kids, you can still communicate with them, but they're at an age now where they don't want to speak to me. I'll phone and my wife will answer, and I'll like, go and put the kids on, and they're like, no, it's okay. Which hurts even more.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, mine are not at that age yet.
Yeah, but do you know what? I'm not. I think I have to be honest with this one. I don't think it gets easier. I don't. I'm not happy that I missed my son's first day at school. I'm not happy that I've missed sports days and things. But you'll know what this is like. Many other people will. When you're starting a business in those early days, it's 24 hours a day. You are all in. But it's not an excuse, I don't think. So there are absolutely feelings of guilt there, but it's making that quality time now and ensuring that there's lots of time to play and that they know how much you love them. And it's not just about giving them lots of presents and gifts when you've been away. that doesn't work. It's more than that. So yeah, it's a tough one.
No, it sure is. And one of the things, of course, is what you say, right? Make sure that when you are with them, you're really there, you're engaged, and you give them that quality time. Of course, Andy is the guy that always mentions give lots of hugs, 7-second hugs.
Lots of hugs, and also turning phones off.
Yeah.
This idea that, on the few occasions that I get to go and pick my kids up from school, I'm always amazed at how many mums and dads are standing at the gates of the school. We got a visitor.
Oh yeah, we got a visitor. Earlier than expected. That's all right. Look at it's Mr. Cool himself.
Yeah, I love it. Hey. Hello, what's your name?
Hello, Diego.
That's a cool name. I'm Gavin. What age are you?
6 older.
Me too.
No, you're not.
I heard that you're going to the water park today. Is that right?
One big beach.
At the beach? Oh yeah. And
They call it Warner Beach. There's no beach there.
Yeah. Water Beach. Oh, okay. And what are you most excited about?
¿Qué te esperas más? ¿Qué te da más ganas de ir ahí? Jugar. To play the water slides. Huh?
I love it.
Okay, you gonna go back to play the game? Your boss and your brother? You don't want to? Okay, you're gonna join us? Cool. You're gonna join us and ask some questions? Yeah? Okay.
So I was just saying that, when I get the chance to pick my kids up from school, it's always amazing how many parents are standing waiting on their kids, and they're just staring at their phones. I had a wonderful discussion between a mum and a daughter. Our kids are on summer holidays at the moment, so it was a few weeks ago now, and this little girl must have been similar age, about 6, and she was saying to her mum, "Can we go out to play when we get home?" And the mum's looking at her phone and she's saying, "You've got homework to do." And the wee girl said, "But mum, we were having fun today. We were learning how to run like bears." Random, but magic.
Yeah.
And the mum was like, "Oh, that sounds lovely." And she's not listening. She's not paying attention.
Yeah. And
the wee girl was saying to her mum, but mum, we were running like bears today. And did you know that bears can run faster than Usain Bolt? And which is a fact, by the way. I've checked it. It's true. And the mum staring at her phone saying, "That's nonsense. There's no way bears can run as fast as Usain Bolt. Anyway, we've got homework to do." And the little girl says, "Can I play in the garden when I get home?" And the mum staring at her phone simply says, "It's going to rain in an hour." And I was sitting there thinking, when do you get to a point as an adult or as a parent when you stop being the person that wants to go out to play in the garden and you become the person who says, "It's going to rain in an hour"?
Mm.
And I think when I hear things like that, I realize that for my kids, I have to be so present. I have to be so there. I have to be so in it. If they want to go play in the garden, so what if it's raining? We live in Scotland. It rains all the time.
That's good.
I think for too many adults, when you're in school and it's raining, in Scotland we have what's called the wet play bell. So when it's raining, it's a different bell that rings in the school, which means we stay indoors. Whereas I think when we're kids, when we hear that bell, it means get your wellies on, put up an umbrella and go and jump in puddles.
Yeah, exactly. Or not even an umbrella.
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Who needs an umbrella? But so I think for me, I've been on a huge journey over the last 10 years being in business to making sure that my kids are having fun. And when we are, I'm there. I'm not staring at my phone.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And one of the things as well, I think, if the mother would have been present and open, right, and listening, she could have learned not just the facts about the bear, but just learn new things, right? It's like, Mom, it's time to play. It's not, and yeah, it's gonna rain. Yeah, I might have to do some homework, but let's play. Let's have some fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now we forget that our biggest teachers in life are our kids. And,
absolutely. I mean, I used to be a primary school teacher. I worked in schools with kids from the age 3 up until the age of 11 for years, and I learned more working with children under the age of 10 than I ever have working with adults. I've been more inspired. I've had more fun. And it's been really interesting making that switch from working in schools, and we still do a lot of work in schools, but that switch from schools into the corporate world, working with, you know, some of the biggest brands in the world. You know, it's amazing how so many adults have forgotten how to play. We've forgotten the importance of play. You know, in Shine, we talk about how play is very much like oxygen. It's all around us. We just don't notice it. We don't notice it until it's gone.
Yep.
And the thing is, we know as adults when it's gone. We know it's gone when it's gone from our relationships, and we know when it's gone in work. But there's just not enough adults doing something about it. So you're right. I think we should be bringing kids into our businesses. We should be bringing 3 and 4-year-olds to the boardroom. Get them round the table and tell them what our problems are, and they'll fix it. They'll fix it.
For sure. Here's a Pokemon. Huh? Yeah, man. Here you got one. Here I got one. Let's do a fight with Pokemons. Like, what?
Absolutely.
But it definitely helps, man. Yeah, I love it. We'll definitely talk about Shine, the book, in a little bit. I love it. I actually, when I journal, I always write out, how am I going to shine today? And I'm going to, you know, I write it out for myself. What I want to do, how do I want to shine? I've written down today: be positive, be energetic, and serve as many people as I can. That's the way for me at the moment, is how I want to shine. There's more to it, of course, and just go as nuts as possible when you're with the kids. Not to everybody's satisfaction, but hey, that's all right. I'm okay with that. So, Gavin, before we continue, man, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your background. You already shared. You got a son and a daughter, 7 and 11, did I write that down correctly? You're married, of course, or I assume so. Share real quick for how many years already, so people can get a good picture, and then share about your business.
Yeah, cool. So I just turned 40 2 weeks ago, and I grew up in the west coast of Scotland in a tiny little town called Troon, which is a very famous golfing town. And I went to Aberdeen in the northeast of Scotland when I was 18 and trained to become a primary school teacher for 4 years. That's where I met my wife, Ali. Ali was training as a music teacher. She's now a deputy head teacher of a high school in Edinburgh. So we've been together now for over 20 years, and we've been married for 12. We have 2 kids, as I mentioned. My son is called Kian. He's 11. He's amazing. He's super creative. He's not into any sports whatsoever. He is the most extraordinary musician, artist, designer, thinker. He blows my mind every day, and he's got the coolest long red hair. He's like a wee mini Scottish Highlander. And I have a daughter, Ellis, who is 7, and she also has long red hair, and she's the crazy one. She's the one that wants to run and jump and cartwheel. And, you know, with Ellis, every day is National Play Day. Every day with Ellis, we're outside, we're inside, we're back outside again. Always noisy, always colourful, always on her bike. And her chosen mode of transport at the moment is definitely one-handed cartwheels. So yeah, I'm very, very blessed to have an amazing family. My wife is an extraordinary person. She's my Mary Poppins. I get, during tough times, I get no sympathy from my wife whatsoever. She kicks my ass in all the best ways possible. And, you know, I think, you know, with a background in primary school teaching, it's really played a huge part in being a parent. It's played a huge part in being a business owner. But I also have a background in stand-up comedy. In real life, I'm not funny. When I try on stage, I'm quite funny. I was involved, or have been involved, with stand-up comedy since I was about 17. And there was a few years where I took it very, very seriously. And we had shows on at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, which is the biggest comedy festival in the world. We did gigs all over the world: Australia, California, London, and had the most extraordinary experience. And what I've been able to do with the stand-up and the teaching is basically combine both of them to create the business that I now run, and it's called Tree of Knowledge. We've been in business for over 10 years. I was initially an employee of this business 16 years ago, and I worked as an employee for about 5.5 years, and then led a management buyout. The previous owner was ready to move on. I was ready for the previous owner to move on. I mean that respectfully. And then we started again. We chose to get round a table, reset everything. Some people moved on. We brought some people in. And it was a time to rediscover vision, values, and how we can make as big a difference in the world as we possibly can. And it's taken me all over the world. And like I say, I now live in Edinburgh, the most beautiful city in the world. And hugely passionate about making a difference.
Nice. I like that. And I'm happy you immediately brought in the part of Mary Poppins, your wife being Mary Poppins. I've read the book, so I know, I have the feeling like I know you a little bit, right? Your sense of humor and the way you bring things, and of course the amazing impact that you want to make in the world, which I highly appreciate as a father, as a dadpreneur, as a person, but also highly commend and recommend to other people. Man, get the book, and we'll talk about another book which Gavin's going to see. But anybody out there that wants to laugh while reading and learning a lot of stuff about themselves, about how stupid some of the things that we do, just read it. I mean, I had a huge joke in regards to toilet paper, which I'll share in a second.
No, I've become known as the toilet roll guy.
Yeah, right. Oh man, we got to talk.
That's not cool.
It's not cool. We'll talk about that in a second. Well, so before Gavin, sorry, for people that are watching this live or the recording on Facebook later, this is the website. I got it it's Gavin's website. I got it in the comment section. You can just click on the link and go to it directly. So check it out. For the people that are listening or watching the replay, as you know, this link will be in the description. You can check it out over there. All right. So let's talk about the toilet roll, man, because I was laughing my ass off when I was reading it. And then I was like, this is going to be funny as hell. So I thought I was going to play the joke, and the joke actually turned around on me. So the story is, people, that we all have our way of putting up the toilet roll, right? Either you have the toilet paper going your way or you have it going the other way, for whatever reason you have. And we always do it like that. So in the book, it said that, why don't you switch things up a bit and see how other people react, right? That's how I got it. So I took the roll every time out, and then I turned it around and put it in. Okay, so our toilet roll holder isn't stuck. You can just pick it up. So my wife just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that was it. Picked it up, turned it around. That was not the plan. So now I'm still looking for, us visiting other houses, and I'm going to do the same, but just in the roll holders, and it's going to mess people up. But it's fun. So you became known as the toilet roll guy because of that?
Yeah, it was funny because I quite often I get booked to speak at events for the second time or the third time, and sometimes it might be 2 or 3 years in between these bookings, or I get booked to speak at a conference, and there's somebody in the audience who's seen me at a different event altogether, and they'll come up and they'll talk to me, and they'll be like, I remember you. You're the toilet roll guy. And I'm like, yeah, if that's what I'm remembered for, then maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. But the toilet roll thing I'm amazed at how much it's become a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, originally, and we're going back 2 or 3 years, it was a throwaway comment. I was talking about those silly moments in life where we get stressed or frustrated at something that's really not stressful or frustrating at all, but it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
And the point I was trying to make was that there's just lots and lots of everyday things that bug us and irritate us so much that they all add up till eventually there's thousands of things in our day that irritate us. And it was just a throwaway comment, which way your toilet roll faces. And as I said that, I had about 300 people in front of me, and the whole room just went, oh boy, oh yeah, toilet roll, and all of a sudden, all these little conversations started happening around the room, and I could see people sitting there demonstrating how they hang their toilet paper. And I'm standing on stage, like live in a conference, thinking, there's something in this is ridiculous. This isn't what was meant to happen. So the next conference I was speaking at, I did a little bit more around the toilet roll, and I added a few sort of humorous lines to it. And I was saying to them, here's your challenge next time. Everywhere you go in life, start turning toilet roll around, and and so eventually somebody will approach you and say to you, "Is it you?" You'll think back to the moment and realize and it's grown and grown and grown. And I have this 15 or 20 minute piece of content in one of my keynote talks that's all about, well, it's not all about toilet roll. It uses toilet roll as the vehicle. It's all about stress. So yeah, it's amazing how sometimes these, what I perceive as a silly little observation becomes your trademark, I guess. But it's good fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Anybody listening, do exactly what Gavin just mentioned. Go around to other people's houses, and when you're there, just quickly ask if you can go to the toilet and just turn it around real quick. It's good fun. So that's it, man. And talking about the book Shine, can you share with us what are the keys for people to start shining? Because that's what we talked about earlier. That's the thing that we've lost, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a generation out there who somebody described them recently to me. The word that was used was bland, and the other word was beige. I think there's a lot of us out there who don't ping out of bed every single day, excited. Again, in Shine, one of the bits that I've written about, if we all think back to when we were 5 and somebody handed you a cardboard box, the first thing you did with it was you thought about how you could play. You would want to get in it, fly it, drive it, wear it, transform it, decorate it, eat it, I've no idea. But it was the ultimate plaything. But there comes a point in life where we don't see the world in that way anymore. When we're kids and we're in school, if your teacher gives you a reading book that you've already read, we get frustrated with the teacher, because when we're 6 and 7, all we want to do is be moved on to that next level, and we want everyone to know about it, and we want to be proud and excited, and we want to see that look of pride and excitement on our parents' faces. But of course, the older we get, the more again we start to lose that. We become society. Sometimes we simply forget that it's okay to be excited every single day. When you've got young kids, when they're 3, 4, 5 years of age, every day they're excited. They're excited about going to the toilet. They're excited about going outside. They're excited about having breakfast. We have this great big fire in our bellies just simply for the day ahead. And what Shine is all about is helping people to rediscover that. It's helping people to remember that flame is still, it sounds a bit corny, but that flame is still in there. If we're bored, if we're apathetic, if we're fed up, if we're unhappy, if we're tired, do something about it. As Andy, my co-author, often tells his audiences, we're on this world, on this planet, if we're lucky, for 4,000 weeks. It doesn't sound like much. It's about 28 or 29,000 days. And it's funny, I told a group of nursery children this recently. So the kids were aged 3 and 4. And I said to them, I don't even know how it came about, but I said to them, how long do you think we all live for? And it was brilliant, because there was kids shouting things like 87 days and 42 weeks. And I'm saying to them, it's 4,000 weeks. And the response was magic. The room just popped, and you've got kids over here saying, can you imagine how many parties you can go to, how many books you can read, how many films you can watch, how many holidays you can go, how much you can laugh, how many sweets you can eat. And then the very next day, I told a room full of adults that we are alive on average for 4,000 weeks. And everybody just sat in silence, because they're doing a sum. They're doing a sum in their minds. They're thinking things like, I've lived a few of them. Well, we have lived a few of them, but how are you living them? Do we get out of bed every single Monday excited because it's the start of a new week? Or do we get out of bed every Monday and feel bored and miserable because it's Monday? It's It's absolutely crazy. So shine, my tips for people to shine, it's about starting to change that thinking. It's starting to remember why we're here. What is our purpose? What is our why? What excites us? What ignites that big fire in our belly? Is it helping people? Is it creating? Is it selling? Is it advertising? It doesn't matter what it is. But if there's something that eats away at you every day because you are not doing it and you know it will make you happy, whether the question is same old shit or crazy new shit. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to swear. My apologies. But that's the question. Every single day you open your eyes, you have a decision to make. You either give your day everything you've got and have as much fun and creativity and excitement as you possibly can, or you don't.
Exactly. It's your choice. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Did you hear
Sorry,
that?
I didn't know your kids snuck into the room again.
Kevin said shit.
Oh,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Ha dicho caca.
I feel awful. I didn't know they were there. So just so that people watching know this, when I'm speaking, the camera cuts and I can't see who's in the room.
Oh, you can.
So I didn't know that.
It's okay.
I didn't know the kids were there, so apologies.
No, man, that's perfectly fine. I mean, I had that discussion already in regards to cursing, right? So I saw a parent go absolutely nuts when the child was cursing, and I was wondering why he went so nuts, because hey, they pick up stuff. They pick it up from their peers. They pick it up from us. Whatever it is, right? And I told my kids, I said, look, as long as you don't curse at somebody, right? As long as you don't call somebody else names, sometimes it happens. You bend your toe, what comes out? Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. So I appreciate you apologizing, but that's absolutely not necessary. But I'm always wondering, and I know why parents get so upset when their children say something. It's not because it's their kids; it's because the other parents are there and they feel, you know what I mean. So I just started to learn.
The way I see it is, I might say bad words, but I don't say bad things.
All right. You guys show quick, because I'm sure Gavin would like to see your haircuts. Why don't you show real quick what you got here? Sure. Turn your head. Turn your head. Turn your head.
Yes, I love it. And we mentioned Batman in the book as well.
Exactly, Batman and Pikachu.
Oh.
Exactly.
Is that the flash?
That's the lightning bolt of Pikachu.
My son, even though he's now 11, he still absolutely loves Pokemon. He's upset and he's always designing his own. Absolutely loves them. It's an amazingly creative strategy game. I love it. I'm most have the boys seen Detective Pikachu?
What they detected was a button that I didn't know that existed, and just turned me off. They just kicked me out.
I lost you there for a moment.
Yeah, exactly. Am I back?
Yeah, got you.
All right. So my son, apparently he discovered a button, and he just kicked me off. All right, that's a first.
I love it.
That happens. Yeah.
Have the boys seen Detective Pikachu?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, they loved it.
Brilliant.
They loved it. And then we have Prime of Amazon, so they watch some episodes of Pokemon once in a while. We did it. I like them not to watch any TV during the week, but now the summer and them being home and it's so hot, it's a little difficult to stick to my my principles, but to my values. But we'll get it set. We'll get it done. We're gonna continue. So since the kids are here, man, I think I made a mistake here with my question, saying, okay, so how can you teach kids to shine? And actually, that's the question now that we're talking about is like, no, that's not the right question, because they're already shining, right?
Oh yeah.
So how can I, as a dad, make sure that my kids continue to shine for the rest of their lives, right? Because that's what you mentioned earlier. It's like, as adults, we shine when we were little, and for some reason during our journey, we lost our shine, right? Not lost, but it just got covered in modern society, So how do I make sure that that doesn't happen to these crazy little bundles of joy?
I think you've just answered it. It's lots of joy, lots of happiness, lots of craziness. I think it comes back to the same core principles. It's values, it's kindness. I think my parents always encouraged me to believe that I really could do what I wanted to do. They encouraged me to go to university, and in some ways, I wish I hadn't gone to university and just got on my path a bit quicker. But if it wasn't for going and training as a teacher, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have met the guy that I did stand-up comedy with, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think as parents, we have a duty to help educate our kids to remember that we get one shot at this, and the world is a big, exciting, but scary place. And the more we do, the more we explore, the more fun we have, the better. I have no idea if you can hear me, by the way.
No, I just turned my mic off because they were going a little rowdy, and I moved
okay.
here.
I wasn't sure if I'd lost you again there, so I was kind of hesitating there.
It's I actually had the craziest live interview last week. Yeah, last week. No, 2 days ago, where my kid came on and his girl came on, and this is today's even worse. So I stopped apologies a long time ago. Yeah, exactly. It's become a fearless father. It's all about being a father. It's all about having kids. So that's. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just disappointed my kids are not. I'm in work just now, so I'm in the office. So I live half an hour away, or else I'd love my kids to be a part of this. This would be amazing.
Right? Yeah, right. We'll do that. We'll do it next time, Gavin. Maybe we can get Andy on the show. Well, his kids are older, he mentioned, but maybe we can get Andy on the show and then invite tons of kids and just have fun. I'll be down for that. All right, man. Sounds good. So talking about that, man, because yeah, as I said, that was just my mistake when I was making my questions. It's like I was thinking now, and I'm like, all of a sudden, but wait a minute, that's what we're talking about. The kids already shine. And we're the ones that taking the shine away, because that's exactly what a mom like that does, right? She's on the phone. You're killing your child's shine. You're showing that's life, because we are their heroes, either bad ones or good ones. It doesn't matter, bad, good, whatever it is. We are their heroes, and that's what happens, right? So talking about heroes, man, it's not one of the questions I have, but we're talking about it now. What do you do to make sure that you are the best hero possible for your kids?
I have to make sure that I am fit and healthy. I have, over the last 3 or 4 years, I've allowed myself to focus a lot more on my physical well-being as well as my mental well-being. I've taken up running, and I think I need to make sure that I am here for them. I need to make sure that I'm as fit and as healthy as I possibly can, that I am the best role model for them that I possibly can be. I want my kids to be who they want to be, but I need to make sure that I am happy and I am healthy and that I am here for them. I lost my dad, not when I was a child, but it was a few years ago now, and he died in his early 60s, and it's just nowadays it's not old, and that was from a very aggressive form of cancer that is very much caused by poor diet and poor fitness, and it's one of those cancers, unfortunately, that they tell you is in the genes. So I think I want to be the absolute best superhero to my kids that I possibly can be, but I also want to be the best sidekick. And actually, this is something we've written about in the new book. I wrote a wee piece for that, where I'm all for the superhero thing, but recently I've been thinking, well, hang on a little minute. What about the sidekicks? What if kids don't want to be a superhero? What if kids are happy being part of a super group or a super team, as opposed to the individual that's held up there? What if they're happy being a sidekick to someone? Because if you think about superhero movies, the sidekicks are the ones that people joke about them. Batman's the cheeseburger, Robin's the salad. but yeah, I want to be the best sidekick to my kids as well, and make sure I just want my kids to have be the best version of themselves they possibly can be. My son is very sensitive. He's a thinker. He's a worrier, and I know that's come from me, because this is something I've struggled with forever and ever and ever. And it's my career is what's helped me to learn from that and deal with that and be better at not worrying and getting anxious about stuff. But I can see it. I can see it in my kids. So, so being present. I know I've said this already, but I'm going to keep coming back to that now with my kids. It is absolutely being present, and knowing that they are loved and knowing that they are allowed to go and make mistakes. And just don't be a dick, though. I think that's it. Lots of kindness, lots of love, lots of respect, but they also need to understand that don't be a dickhead.
Absolutely. That's talking about mistakes, right? Because that's one of the things that I'm struggling a little bit with, because it seems like at school they teach him like, you're not allowed to make any mistakes, right?
Yeah.
And my oldest, my 6-year-old, that you just seen, man, if he makes mistakes, if it's not perfect right away, then we go in a wrong path, right? He gets upset, he starts crying, he doesn't want to do it anymore. And how do you go about, because I keep asking people to hopefully get some new ideas of what I can do, but how do you go about making sure that your kids just keep making mistakes and maybe enjoying mistakes, because nobody enjoys making mistakes, but learning that making mistakes is just part of life, and that's what makes us grow, right?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. It's a topic that is being discussed more and more here in Scotland within the education system, and actually, I think in Scotland they're very good at this.
Nice.
Resilience has been a real focus in Scottish education for a number of years now. I think whilst it's still a bit of a buzzword at the moment, it's no longer a buzzword here. It's almost, we're looking for the next word now. But I think, teaching kids that it's okay to fail. I mean, every major successful entrepreneur talks about how important it was to fail. There's the famous quote by Thomas Edison, about trying 1,000 times and sticking with it. That was not the right quote, by the way, but I paraphrased it. But like I say, in Scotland, actually, we're getting pretty good at it. This idea, it's not about encouraging kids to fail, of course it's not, but it's from a very young age teaching them that it is okay to not succeed straight away. Where we've got it wrong, I think, in Scotland is in sports days in schools. I don't know what it's like where you are, but in many, many schools for younger kids in Scotland, there's no winners and there's no losers. So if you cross that finish line first in the 100-meter sprint, you don't get a gold medal because we're all winners.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's right. But in school, you're allowed to win the maths prize and you're allowed to win the chemistry prize. So I'm not sure why at a younger age you can't come first. I think it did me the world of good as a kid to not be first in the running races. Don't get me wrong, I wanted to be first always, but I wasn't fast enough. There was guys who were better at running than me, and I think kids need to know that we can't win all the time. We can't get it right all the time. So I think it's just educating them from a very, very young age. But that has to come from not just the parents, it has to come from the school as well, because they get to that age where they spend more time in school than they do with the parents. And if you're at home saying one thing and that's not backed up by the school, then the stuff you're doing doesn't work at that point. It's a hard one to answer. I think, my kids get upset when they fail. When they get told that they've not done something well enough. But it's just how we communicate. It's using the right language. It's helping them to develop that growth mindset. And when people are doing well around you and they're getting it right and you're not, be inspired. Allow yourself to be inspired by the people in your class that are getting it right. you know, encouraging our kids to actually go and speak to those kids and ask them, how did you do that? How did you get it right? What did you write? What did you say? How did you train for that? I think quite often it's the opposite that happens. I think even at a young age we can get very jealous and a bit bitter and angry about people who are better than us at things. But I think the way I talk to my kids is about, you know, don't be jealous. Just learn from it. Go and talk to them. Ask them, how did you do it? And if you can take one thing away from what they tell you, good. You know,
Absolutely.
It's a hard one to answer. I don't know if there's a right or a wrong, and there's probably a million things that we've not discovered yet.
No, absolutely. We always like the topic because, of course, it's a very important topic, and everybody deals with it in a different way, teaching their kids a different way, or not teaching them at all. And yeah,
I heard a phrase. I heard a phrase recently that is probably quite common, but I hadn't heard it before, and it was in a corporate business setting, and I was asking this chief exec, you know, about their team and what happens if they make mistakes. Now, we're not talking mistakes that cost the company billions or anything like that, but what happens if we make mistakes? And she said, what I tell my team every day is don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. And I don't know if there'll be a way to put that across to kids. I think, in other words, just go and do it. And do you know what? See if you get it wrong, it's fine. We'll get it sorted. But there's still too many parents and teachers out there who, if their child gets something wrong, we get angry.
Yeah.
No need.
No, absolutely. It's a tough one though. I caught myself the other day. Because that's why I came up, and I'm talking a lot about it lately, because I'm really looking like, okay, how can I make sure that he makes mistakes and he's okay with it? And then the other day he spilled milk by accident, right? And it went over me. And I was in the thought, so I wasn't paying attention. So your first reaction is like yelling his name, Jago. And I'm like, oh wait, calm down.
Yeah.
All right. What happened? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Daddy. So you know what? It's okay. It happens. Daddy spills milk all the time as well. So what do we do next? They're like, I'm sorry, Daddy. Okay, so that was first step one. What's next step? All right. Okay, so now let's go clean it. It's okay. But I started remembering, like, okay, I didn't always do that. Like before, I would get really upset when he spilled something, right? Because that's your innate reaction as a parent. It's like, and now I'm like, but wait a minute. I'm actually confirming the fact that you shouldn't make mistakes, because mistakes making is bad, right? Because that's what it is, just a mistake. You just made a mistake. Yeah. So that's why I keep asking about it and learning and realizing, like, man, I got a lot to learn still as a dad. So that's it, man. What I'm also want to talk about a little bit, which is part of us being dads, right? Dadpreneurs, relationships, right? Relationships with our wife, with our kids. But let's talk in this case, especially about the relationship with our wife, because what you mentioned, you're just in the beginning stage of, well, you were in the beginning stage of your business, you were traveling a lot, and then you also had kids, so a lot fell on her. You already mentioned, like, she's the Mary Poppins, but how do you make sure that, maybe not that she stays Mary Poppins because that's her thing, but that that she knows that you love her, that she's appreciated, and that you're in this together, and shining as a couple as well?
Yeah, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is my role around the house. I am terrible when it comes to putting a washing on, or emptying the dishwasher, or vacuuming the house. And I learned a long time ago in our relationship that if I don't get that part right, then I'm going to have a problem. My wife knows I love her. I mean, she's not one. I mean, if I shower her with gifts, she's not interested. You know, I can take her out for beautiful meals or weekends away. She's not interested. Well, that's not fair. But that's not the thing. It's the other stuff that's more important. It's me pulling my weight. You know, if I've been away for 3 or 4 nights, it doesn't mean I come in and just lie on the sofa and watch television, because she's been with the kids. She's also a full-time worker. She also has interests. She's a musician, out with being a deputy head teacher of a high school, which is a full-on job for anybody. You've got 1,000 teenagers you're responsible for. So the biggest lesson for me that I've learned over or throughout my marriage is that I have to pull my weight. It's not, you know, and I'm slowly getting better at that one. But I think my wife's amazing, Klaus. She really is. You know, if I go back to when I bought the business, when I led the buyout in 2009, March the 1st, 2009, it was at that point that I was also getting back into stand-up comedy. I had had a little bit of time out from that. And I was in a show with two other guys. You know, we were a triple act. It was a sketch show, and it was lots of characters. And of course, if you're serious about making it in the world of entertainment, just like in the world of business or anything else, you have to give it your all. It requires your time and energy. Now, at that point, we had a very, very young son. And for the next 3 or 4 years, I gave my business and my comedy career everything I possibly could. And my wife was absolutely amazing with that. She let me do that. She was bought in, she supported it, she valued it, she knew that it made me incredibly happy. It's you know, I am at my, in terms of my work, I am at my happiest when I'm on a stage in front of people. In one-to-ones, I find it more difficult. This I actually find quite difficult, believe it or not. You know, I'm not a social animal, but put me on a stage, for some reason, I'm in my comfort zone. I pace up and down backstage, and I think, why am I doing this? I could have a normal job. I could be at home with my kids, but once I'm on there, I come to life. And my wife knows that, and she's known me since I was 18, and she has seen my career go like this. You know, she's seen real lows, real highs, dealings with success, dealings with failure, dealings with real anxiety and stress and worry. And I know that to repay that, not that she asks me to repay it, but for me to repay that, I have to love unconditionally. I have to play my part. I have to. Yes, she's mum, but she's not house cleaner. She's not tidy upperer. She's not the. You know, I have to make sure I'm supporting her in everything, not just, you know, treating us to a nice holiday. That's not the important stuff. That's the lovely stuff that we can do, and we're very lucky that we're now in a stage in our lives where we can go away for a weekend, or we can, you know, book a cottage in the Highlands of Scotland and just go away, the four of us, you know. But I think the most important part I'm going to come back to is pulling my weight and making sure that I am contributing in that way.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, absolutely agree. I'm still improving on that as well. My wife used to wake up extra early and prepare the food for us. So we had lunch and dinner ready. And I actually told her last week when we went on vacation for 3 weeks, and I mean my boys and I, my wife had to stay here for her full-time job. And I actually told her last week, I said, you know what? You're not going to do that anymore in the morning. Let's not do that anymore. If you want to go early to work, you can do that, but let's not do that anymore. I'm going to cook. I can cook. I mean, anybody can cook. It's not that difficult. I just don't like cooking at all. But yeah, I absolutely know where you're coming from. The one thing I was struggling with in the beginning, and maybe this you'll go like, oh yeah, I know that one, is I was pulling my weight, but more with the intention to get something in return.
Oh yeah.
Right. So it's like, all right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean the house before my wife gets home, you know, so she'd be extra happy, and then maybe I get some extra later on tonight when the kids are asleep.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake that I'm going to say most men, maybe not, it won't be all men, but most husbands and partners do. You know, like my wife, she could have put on the last 3 washings, made the last 3 meals, hoovered the house, vacuumed the house the last 3 times, done a bit of gardening the last 3 times, and I empty the dishwasher. And
Yep.
I'm like, I've emptied the dishwasher. And she's like, uh-huh. Do you want me to celebrate and thank you for this when I've done all of this stuff? So yeah, there's a learn. I think for all guys there, and do you know what? It goes back to what I said earlier on. I think I got to a point where I realised I was being a bit of a dick with that part of our relationship, and it's not cool. So yeah, I need to. I have got better, but I am definitely needing to get a little bit better on that side of things as well. I mean, I leave the house earlier. I'm home later. It's not an excuse because she works full time.
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. I love your honesty as well. I really appreciate that. For the people that are watching or listening, just what you're hearing is my son. He's getting really, really antsy to go to the water park. He's just gonna have to wait, buddy. Patience is a good thing. Okay, thank you. You think that'll look good? You think it'll fit on my big head? You think anybody appreciates Daddy doing an interview like this with sunglasses on? See, now Gavin can't see if I'm actually looking at him. Not very nice, is it?
Is it good?
Yeah, is it good? All right.
Te puedes poner la sopa.
Oh, yeah, okay. I should have put in a little up. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So before we finish, because we got about 9 minutes, 10 minutes to go, and you just mentioned like your new book just came out. If you want to show it right now, that's a perfect moment. Please do so. Yep, there it is, Zest.
That's right.
So how to squeeze the max out of life? Yeah, we get. Oh,
that was right in the eye.
That's okay. We're still alive. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, that's your book. Remember? See, look. Brought to life by Andy. But look at this. Gavin Oattes. That's him. Gavin Oattes is him.
Tiene nombre.
Yeah, isn't that cool? We're talking to the writer of that book, of your book.
Los dos son míos solo.
No, only that one. The other one's Daddy. But you can also read that one as soon as you start reading, which we're working on right now. It's a struggle, but it's a lot of fun.
Amazing.
But yeah, man, let's talk a little bit about Zest. What's it about? And why did you? I mean, Shine is just, to me, is like fantastic. Like if I would ever write a book like Shine, for me that'd be like, okay, I'm done. I can hang it up.
Yeah.
So
I found it quite difficult to start on the second one. I think it's in music they talk about the difficult second album, and I think that was very much this for me. So it's interesting because it's kind of Shine 2, but it's not Shine 2. It is, but it isn't. But in the back of the book, it talks about this idea of basically recapturing that zing and zip that we had, that freshness and enthusiasm. A bit of a wake-up call, to search our soul and shake things up and bask in that warmth of glorious individuality that so many of us have forgotten about, because again we've just become society. We're a generation of people who are just staring at their screens, walking around with our heads down, and it's this idea where we need to lift our heads up again. They talk about when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. But when life gives you lemons, it also gives zest. And the zest is the bit that makes your face do this, and that's what we need to do in life. So yeah, Zest, it's super exciting. And we've got Will writing Zest with us as well, that helped with the Brilliant Kid book, because obviously it's me, Andy, and Will. So Will came on board for Zest as well, and just add something different again. He's such a beautiful writer. Like Andy's a proper author. Will is a proper writer. I'm some sort of crazy mess that sits somewhere on the outside that just throws stuff in that just is bizarre, and somehow it all clicks and molds. So yeah, really excited because it's literally out today. It starts arriving in the post for people today. It's in the shops today, and it's that moment where you start to worry about how people are going to receive it, because as you've alluded to, the reception for Shine was just mind blowing. People all over the world getting in touch, telling us that this is the book that that's changed their life, that's saved their marriage, that's
Mhm.
that's led them to fulfill their ambitions that they've always had. And that for me is a big deal. You know, when we wrote Shine, I said, if one person reads it that's not my mum, and they love it and it truly makes a difference, then that's enough for me. So to know that there are literally thousands, tens of thousands of people around the world who are feeling that way is amazing. And I hope that Zest just nudges that on a little bit for everybody. It's similar, but it's different. And I'll share one little bit with you, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Love it.
There's it's just a very short bit that I wrote for Zest, and it's this idea, and I think this kind of sums up the book for me, and it's quite interesting because you were talking about milk earlier.
Yeah.
For me, life is very much a big bowl of Rice Krispies. Do you know what I mean by Rice Krispies?
Yeah.
And you know, if you imagine a big bowl of Rice Krispies on their own, you've not added the milk yet, just on their own, nothing else. They are bland, they're beige, they're quiet, they're still, they're boring, they're not exciting until you add the milk. And then what happens? They snap, they crackle, they pop, they fizz, they bang, they whiz, they move, they do this, they come alive, they float. But if we don't get stuck in to the cereal, if we don't devour it and top it up and refresh it and occasionally put some sugar on it, then it turns soggy, it turns to mush. It just becomes a bit meh, and then you don't want it, and no one else wants it. So if our lives are like a bowl of Rice Krispies, if our life and our careers and school are the Rice Krispies, that makes us the milk. And if we don't get stuck into life, if we don't devour it and top it up and refresh it, and sometimes whack some sugar on it, sometimes we have to sugarcoat things. If we don't do that, then life becomes a bit soggy, a bit mushy, and it becomes a bit meh. And then you don't really appreciate it, and neither does anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the key messages in Zest is quite simple.
Oh, now Gavin. I don't know what Gavin did, but now Gavin dropped off. Gavin, you still there?
I did. I'm here. I've got you. Are you there?
Yeah, but you just dropped off in the last thing you wanted to say.
So, one of the key messages from that little story, if you like, is quite simply, be the milk.
Exactly. I like it. How easy is it to try and share an important, serious serious message? And you got this one sitting here trying to do all kinds of crazy stuff.
I love it. I'm okay.
All right. You're used to it now. I'm just sitting there.
I spent 6 years of my life standing in front of children under the age of 10 from 9 o'clock till 3:30 trying to teach them stuff. It's fine.
Hello.
Exactly.
Hello.
Hello.
I love this thing in your glasses. Like, it's a cool look. You should wear that all day.
You probably will.
Don't take it off.
Tiene que ponerlo todo el día. No?
You wear that at
We
Water
just
Beach.
walk around. We got these stickers. So when we've done some work and stuff, when they get like a sticker, guess where they want to put this sticker?
On the glasses.
Nah, no. Right there on the forehead. Right, dead center, sir. Because you can put it on your hand, right, which normal people would do, right? You put it on your hand, but and not everybody can see it. Like, you gotta go. But if you put it on your forehead, everybody can see it. Same with stamps. They love stamps. They put it all over the forehead.
I love it.
I just let them. Same with the hair, man. But we had a discussion about that. We're almost out of time, so I got a great story about that hair as well that we can talk about. But it's been an hour, Gavin. I'm so appreciative of you being on. I really enjoyed our talk. I'm going to put up your website real quick, GavinOattes.com, so people can check you out. And I highly recommend it. I highly recommend people getting the books that we've shown. One for your kids, right? I'll just show them again. Who cares? Brilliant Kid, right? I'm working on it. And then there you go. There's all three: Zest and Shine, right? I highly recommend it. I read Shine, and I'm actually about to start again. I need to refresh my mind.
Brilliant.
I remind myself that I need to start pulling the paper roll joke more often. The toilet roll joke more often. Anyway, that's it. Gavin, what are other good ways for people to follow you besides your website, or is it just your website that's the best place?
No, so I'm quite active on various platforms. So Twitter is a great one for me, and it's just at Gavin Oattes. It's my full name, GAVIN OATTES. I have a speaker, my professional speaker page on Facebook, which again is just Gavin Oattes, and Instagram, which I think is Gav Oattes, maybe not quite my full first name, and things like LinkedIn and so on. But I'm most active on my Twitter, my Facebook, and my Instagram. However, I am trying to limit that at the moment. It's very easy to spend your entire day just posting nonsense. So I try and make sure I post useful, helpful stuff and just some nice, motivational bits. But that's the best way to engage with me.
Fantastic. So for the people that are watching right now, apologies, but you can't get to the links yet. For the people that are watching this as a replay on YouTube or listening to this on a podcast, in the description, you will find all these links and you can just check them out and get connected with Gavin, keep following him. And I'm assuming you also post your dates and your places where you speak, right?
I do. I mean, there's the vast majority of my speaking dates are sort of closed door events, like businesses booking me to speak at events. But yeah, we've been doing a little bit of a road show this year, so we've done most of it. There's a couple of dates in the UK still coming up, one away up in Aberdeen, one down in London. So yeah, absolutely, people can have I'll find access to that mainly on the social media side of things.
Fantastic. All right. So again, Gavin, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Everybody else, thank you for being with us for a time. I keep reminding you, if you've joined us and you got some golden nuggets out of it, make sure you write them down. But most importantly, take action. Start shining. Get the book. If you think like, oh, yeah, I need to shine more, then get the book, read the book. And then again, same rule. Don't read the book to read the book. Read the book to find something that really can inspire you and then take action. And that's the only way to really start shining and really start enjoying life to the fullest. So I'll see you guys very soon in another live. Have an amazing day and goodbye.
Are you still meeting up with your friends now that you're a father? Kids making you stress out. You got no time for yourself to work out, read, or relax. Can you still remember the time you were hanging out with your friends, feeling energetic, happy, and confident? Spending time together and talking about your life and your crazy dreams. You're feeling alone now, don't you? No one to share your challenges with, and you're just running around from one storm into the next. Well, it's time to change this now. Join me and the Brotherhood of Fearless Fathers to speak on a weekly basis with like-minded dads to crush your challenges, face your fears with determination, be held accountable, and regain control of your life. If you want to become the hero your family needs you to be, then go to becomeafearlessfather.com/brotherhood. I'm looking forward to seeing you on one of our next calls.